Hello, everyone. Scientology has a complex, often very controversial view of homosexuality. They must adhere to sacred texts of LRH, and they claim they adhere to civil rights. However, this is unfounded. Former members in original texts may suggest that the LGBTQ plus individuals may face discrimination or pressure to change their orientation. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, stated that homosexuality is a dangerous perversion and a physical illness. This quote comes from the Modern Science, Mental Health, and Science of Survival. Instead of Scientology seeking therapists, the Scientologist is handled or corrected by a form of version of therapy called auditing. We've discussed auditing before. Paul Haggis, a very well-known critic of Scientology, has stated homophobia and intolerance. Scientology in the outside world would be viewed as anti-civil rights. Auditing of these individuals is very expensive. And what do I mean expensive? You have to pay for these auditing sessions in advance, some of them which are over $10,000 a pop. Some go as high as $50,000 a pop. They also could face security checks, which ask the individual person, have they performed any homosexual sexual activity? This is true in all security checks. We discussed the Joburg sec check earlier in one of my videos. That is one of the most hardest sec checks, and they have some of the most perverse questioning. And it's inappropriate for a child to hear these type of security checks. The church does oppose to the same-sex marriage and does support The church does oppose to the same-sex marriage and does support anti-gay activities, such as Proposition 8, which passed in California in 2008. It was against same-sex marriages. It stated that marriage is for a woman and a man. Then was overturned in 2024 by Proposition 3 in California. Well-known Scientologist Catherine Bell is a well-known gay Scientologist. She was married to married to Adam Beeson, and then is now with her wife, who is a wedding planner, a party planner, Brooke Daniels. She starred on the show Jag, and also did Army Wives. Played a role called Sarah Mackenzie on Army Wives. Scientology wants to keep their high-profile celebrities, so they are showing her tolerance for being gay. But anyone else in the normal Sea organization, which is the highest ecclesiastical group within Scientology, they have no tolerance for any homosexual activity. Paul Haggis has stated that there is high level of homophobia in the Church of Scientology. Scientology is harmful as a whole because they don't believe in civil rights. If they believed in civil rights and basic civil liberties, they would not treat their Sea Org members the way that they treat their Sea Org members. Scientology does have a perversion to homosexuality. and has a perversion to transgenders. Transgenders in this society are treated horribly. I watched that. I used to watch that show, I Am Jazz, and this poor girl would have death threats on her life because she knew what she wanted as a young child. She went through all the transformative surgeries to become a woman when she was a young child. Scientology is not conducive if you are gay. Emily Armstrong is another well-known Scientologist who is gay, who is the leader of Linkin Park, the lead singer for Linkin Park right now. It comes with a lot of controversy that she's the lead singer of Linkin Park because Chester Bennington, this goes against everything that he was about. He was about civil liberties. He was about human trafficking. And the fact that Mike Shinoda has a well-known Scientologist as the lead singer for Linkin Park, it proves a point that Scientology is bad. And when you have a high-level ranking Scientologist as a lead singer on the band Linkin Park, it gives them a bad name. It gives them a bad reputation. Not only did the band not listen to the public's outcry over his choice in lead singer, the PR machine has been trying to shut it down. Not only did Emily Armstrong heckle the Jane Does at the Danny Masterson trial, she was a part of the girls group that were attacking the Jane Does who were speaking their truth about the horrible incidents that happened with Danny Masterson. He was charged with forcible R in 2 counts. The 3rd count could not be proven, but the other 2 were proven. He drugged his victims similar to what Jeffrey Dahmer did. Jeffrey Dahmer drugged his victims with sleeping pills and chloroform. Danny Masterson drugged his victims with GHB. GHB is a smellless, odorless substance. So you don't know you're being drugged. Scientology is a horrible human trafficking cult. Chester Bennington stood up for civil rights and stood up for the right for mental health care. He stood up for the right for to end human trafficking in our country. Human trafficking still goes on in our country, and it's been hidden by our government because they don't want to have the public panicked. But there are high-level cases that are happening in Florida that have been happening for many decades now. And it's not just young women, it's older women that are being trafficked too now. Scientologists are not allowed to have any homosexual perversion. They consider it physical disease. It is not a physical disease. They have done studies on this. It has to do with damage to chromosomes and other genetic markers and other genetic things. And there is scientific back evidence on this. Scientology has harmed children. This is why it is so important to get the word out about Scientology and all of its abusive practices and Scientology's harmful to society. It doesn't benefit the public. it doesn't support public, the public's viewing. The public are taking to the streets to protest Scientology because Scientology is a human trafficking horrible cult. What they did in Miriam Francis's case was horrible. And she's still fighting for justice in Australia right now in her case. Miriam Francis is an amazing human being, and she deserves justice because she was sexually assaulted at the age of 3 by her own father, a high-ranking level Scientologist, and he admitted to it. We need to come together and be kind for all these survivors who are speaking their truth and speaking the truth about Scientology. Mike Rinder did do a lot for the anti-Scientology movement. However, he did speak in generalities, and he didn't want any of the information to come out about the children. And this is why it's so important to say Scientology does not benefit the public or support the public's needs. And that Proposition 8 was gross. I look at it this way. People have the right to marry whoever they want to marry. Love comes with no restraints. You can't help with who you fall in love with. You can't help who you are in a relationship with. You can't help but feeling like, oh, this is natural. For most people who are gay, it feels so natural to them. And I support them 100%. I also support people who are kind. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Take time for your family and friends. I just wanted to come on here and talk to you about why Scientology is harmful to the gay community and harmful to the LGBT community, because they are harmful. They don't believe in same-sex marriages. They do not believe in homosexuality. In fact, they are very homophobic if you read LRH's text. And this is how they control their members to keep them in line in Scientology. We talked about this with the Joburg sect check. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Take time for your family and friends and do the things you love and support the people you love. Treat people kindly in your everyday life. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Take time for yourself. Thank you.